Well, the federal government's plans for a national disability insurance scheme are being hobbled by key state premiers who are refusing to put up extra money to trial the scheme. In confrontational scenes at today's COAG meeting in Canberra, the Prime Minister accused the Conservative premiers of turning their backs on thousands of disabled people and their families. But the premiers say the scheme has been undermined by Julia Gillard's deal with the smaller states. Political correspondent Tom Iggulden reports.
It's the scheme everyone wants, but no one wants to pay for.
Should we put more in? You betcha. Do we want to put more in? You betcha. Can we put more in right now? No, I'm afraid we can't.
A deal with Queensland was taken off the table before the COAG meeting even began, but in New South Wales and Victoria, the Prime Minister still had hope. So too did 42-year-old cerebral palsy sufferer Darren Wilton and his parents Joan and Bob.
I think the whole of the states and the government have all got to pull together on this and try and get a good scheme going.
But Victorian Premier Ted Ballieu wouldn't stump up $40 million against the federal government's $100 million to get a trial for 5,000 people going.
That doesn't diminish in any way from our commitment to an NDIS.
And in New South Wales, Barry O'Farrell couldn't find $70 million to match the government's $300 million for a 10,000-person trial.
I am very disappointed. I do find it disappointing. I am disappointed that we didn't get to an arrangement today.
The Prime Minister's accusing New South Wales and Victoria of being all talk and no action.
Whilst they say they value being involved in a national disability insurance scheme and having a launch site, they wouldn't put forward those relatively small amounts of money to get it done for their people in their states.
But the New South Wales Premier says the $1 billion the Prime Minister's putting on the table for the scheme isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Only $350 million goes to actually providing services to people with disabilities. The rest is admin and set-up costs.
The rest is the necessary arrangements to set up the scheme, but nothing gets us away from the maths here. I'm sitting next to a Premier who was prepared to step up to a certain figure per care package. That's why he's got a launch site. Yes.
Trial sites are going ahead in Labor-held Tasmania and the ACT, where adolescents will benefit.
Annie, come this way.
And in South Australia, where the focus will be on children like 4-year-old Annie Goldsmith and her mother, Kathryn.
The earlier intervention you can have with children from the moment they're born, with therapies, the better results you're going to get.
This is an incredibly powerful message to people with disabilities, their carers, their families, that we have heard them and that this scheme is going to happen.
But Conservative premiers downplayed the deal between federal and state Labor leaders.
They are small scale, they are in the small states, and we should have seen at least 1 or 2 trials in the larger states.
The ABC's been told the Prime Minister upped the money available to New South Wales and Victoria to no avail.
It's not a national disability insurance scheme, and none of us should be happy until that scheme's established.
Okay, thank you very much.
I just want to say as well, if I may, Prime Minister, look, we want this to happen. I don't want to leave anyone with any doubt. We want it to happen.
The disability debate all but drowned out the release of lower than expected inflation data today. As the Treasurer lamented, good economic news is making quite a habit these days of being sidelined by the political bun fight of the day. Tom Iggulden, Lateline.